Let's break this down step by step in the simplest way possible. What is deficit financing? 1. What does deficit mean? A deficit happens when the government spends more money than it earns, like spending 100 when it only has 80. 2. How does the government manage this extra spending? The government needs more money, so it borrows or prints new money. This process of borrowing or printing money to cover the extra spending is called deficit financing. Why is deficit financing popular? 1. No trouble for taxpayers. Deficit financing doesn't increase taxes. People don't have to pay more to cover the government's spending. 2. No trouble for regular lenders. It doesn't rely heavily on people or businesses lending their extra money to the government. 3. Easier for development. The government can use this money for big projects like building roads, schools, or hospitals without creating immediate financial stress. How does deficit financing work in India? 1. Borrowing from the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. The government asks the RBI, the Central Bank of India, to lend it money. The RBI gives the money by creating new currency. This means printing more money. 2. Interest payments to RBI. The government has to pay interest to the RBI for this borrowing. But here's the trick. The RBI is owned by the government, so the interest that the government pays to the RBI eventually comes back to the government as RBI's profit. 3. Cost-free method. Since the interest comes back to the government, borrowing from the RBI or printing new money is almost cost-free. What happens when the government borrows from other lenders? 1. Who are the other lenders? These are people, banks, or businesses who lend their money to the government. 2. Interest payments to lenders. The government has to pay interest to these lenders. Unlike borrowing from the RBI, this interest doesn't come back, so this borrowing costs money. Example to understand. 1. Imagine a household. A family wants to buy a car but doesn't have enough money. They can either borrow money from a bank and pay interest. This costs money. Print their own money, if they could do that, which wouldn't cost them anything. In India, the government prints money through the RBI, which is like printing its own money. 2. Classroom example. Imagine a school needs 100 to buy new chairs. The principal has only 80, so they decide to print 20 extra. This extra money comes at no cost because the school owns the printer like the government owns the RBI. Why does deficit financing matter? 1. Helps in development. The government can use deficit financing to build things like schools, hospitals, roads, and bridges. This helps the economy grow. 2. No immediate burden. Taxes don't need to increase immediately, and people don't feel the pinch. Challenges of deficit financing. 1. Printing too much money can be dangerous. If the government keeps printing too much money, it can lead to inflation. Prices of goods go up. Example, if there is more money but the same number of goods, things like rice or vegetables will cost more. 2. Borrowing can add debt. If the government borrows too much, it will have to spend more money on interest payments in the future. In simple words, deficit financing is like borrowing or printing money to cover extra expenses. Borrowing from the RBI is cheaper because the government owns it. It's a useful tool for development, but must be used carefully to avoid inflation or debt problems. Let me know if you want even more examples or further clarification. Let's break this down step by step in the simplest way possible so anyone can understand it. What is deficit financing? Quick recap. 1. When the government spends more money than it earns, it covers this gap by borrowing or printing new money. 2. This process is called deficit financing. How does deficit financing help the economy? 1. Multiplier effect. When the government spends money using deficit financing, it creates a chain reaction in the economy. This is called a multiplier effect because one action leads to multiple benefits. Example, imagine the government builds a road. To build this road, workers are hired, creating jobs. Workers earn money and spend it on food, clothes, or other goods. increasing income for shopkeepers. Shopkeepers then spend their earnings and the cycle continues. This process creates more jobs and more income for everyone. 2. Using unemployed resources. Deficit financing allows the government to use resources that are not being used fully, like unemployed workers or idle factories. Example, if there are workers without jobs, the government can hire them for projects like building schools or hospitals. This helps the economy grow because more people are working and earning money. Deficit financing and inflation. 1. What is inflation? Inflation means prices of goods and services go up. Example, a bag of rice that cost 50 last year now costs 60. 2. Why is deficit financing inflationary? When the government prints new money, more money enters the market. But if the supply of goods like food or clothes doesn't increase, prices will rise. Example, if there's only one apple but now 10 people have money to buy it, the price of the apple will go up because everyone wants it. 3. Short-term inflation. Inflation caused by deficit financing should only last for a short time. As the economy grows, more goods and services are produced and prices can stabilize. Is inflation always bad? 1. Mild inflation is good. A small amount of inflation, mild inflation, is actually helpful for economic growth. It shows that the economy is active and people are spending money. Example, imagine a market where everyone starts buying more vegetables. Farmers will work harder to grow more vegetables to meet demand, and the economy will grow. 2. Keeping inflation under control. If inflation is kept at a reasonable level, it won't harm the economy. Instead, it will help the country grow by creating jobs and increasing incomes. How does deficit financing balance the pros and cons? 1. Advantages. Creates jobs, uses idle resources, boosts income and spending, helps the economy grow. 2. Disadvantages. Can cause inflation, rising prices, but mild inflation is manageable and even necessary for growth. 3. Balancing act. The government must use deficit financing carefully to make sure inflation stays under control. The economy grows without long-term problems. Example to summarize everything. Imagine a farmer's market. Problem. Many farmers don't have work and the market is empty because people don't have money to buy anything. Solution. The government prints new money and hires farmers to plant crops. What happens next? Farmers earn money and buy tools, seeds, and food. Shops in the market start selling more because farmers are spending their earnings. More shops open, creating jobs for others. But if too much money is printed, prices in the market will rise too quickly, inflation. To avoid this, the government must carefully control how much money it prints and make sure farmers produce enough crops to balance the demand. In the simplest words, 1. Deficit financing helps the government spend money to create jobs and grow the economy. 2. It uses resources that are not being used, like unemployed workers. 3. It can cause prices to rise, inflation. But if inflation is controlled, it's not harmful. 4. A little inflation is actually good because it shows the economy is growing. Let me know if you need more examples or further clarification. Let's understand this step by step in the easiest way, like a story. What happens during inflation? 1. Inflation means prices are rising. Example, last year an apple cost 10, but this year it costs 12. 2. When prices rise, business owners, producers start earning more money. Example, a farmer sells apples. If the price of apples goes up, the farmer makes extra money when selling the same apples. How do private investors act during inflation? 1. Private investors are people or companies who have money and want to invest it to earn profits. Example, a shopkeeper decides to use his extra savings to buy a second shop, hoping to earn more money. 2. During inflation, investors see an opportunity to make even more money. Why? Because as prices rise, they believe that selling goods or services at higher prices will bring bigger profits. How does investment work during inflation? 1. Producers reinvest their earnings. Producers, business owners, see that they are making more money because of higher prices. They decide to use this extra money to expand their business. Example, A bakery owner notices that cakes are selling at higher prices and she is making good profits. She uses her savings and profits to buy more ovens and hire more workers to bake more cakes. 2. What happens next? More investment equals more production. More production equals more jobs. More jobs equals more income for workers. More income, people spend more money. How does this lead to economic development? 1. Economic development means the economy grows stronger. More people have jobs. Businesses grow bigger. People earn more money. 2. During inflation, this process starts rolling like a wheel. Business owners earn profits, reinvest profits, create jobs, pay workers. Workers spend money. Businesses grow again. Example to simplify. Imagine a small town. 1. A farmer grows rice and sells it for 1,000. 2. During inflation, the price of rice rises to 1,200 and the farmer earns more. 3. The farmer uses this extra 200 to buy better seeds and hire workers to plant more rice. 4. Workers earn money and they spend it at local shops. 5. Shops make more money and expand their businesses. This creates a chain reaction that helps the entire town grow richer. Why do investors keep investing during inflation? 1. Hope for more profits. Investors believe that if they invest more money, they will earn even bigger profits as prices rise. 2. Producers feel encouraged. Business owners feel confident because higher prices mean higher earnings. They reinvest their money to grow their business further. Key points to remember. 1. Inflation creates a cycle of more investments and profits. 2. This cycle leads to more jobs and income, which helps the economy grow. 3. However, inflation must be controlled. If prices rise too much, people might stop buying things and the economy can slow down. Summary in the simplest words. 1. Inflation makes prices go up. 2. Higher prices mean businesses earn more profits. 3. Investors and producers use these profits to invest in expanding their businesses. 4. This creates jobs, increases income, and grows the economy. 5. It's like a wheel that keeps moving and makes the economy stronger. Let me know if you want to understand any part more deeply. Let's break down disadvantages of deficit financing in a way that's even simpler and easy together, step by step. First, what is deficit financing? Imagine your friend has 100 but wants to spend 150. He doesn't have enough money, so he 1. Borrows 50 from someone. 2. Or he prints 50 at home. Let's say he's allowed to print money. That's deficit financing. Spending more than you earn by either borrowing or printing extra money. Now, when a government does this, it creates some serious problems. Let's understand them. Problem 1. It makes things expensive. When the government prints extra money, more money comes into the market. People have more money to spend, but the number of goods like food, clothes, or houses stays the same. This makes prices go up. Example. Let's say there are 10 mangoes in the market, each costing 10. You and others have 100 each, so you can buy mangoes easily. Now, the government gives everyone 200. Suddenly, more people want mangoes, but the number of mangoes hasn't increased. To get a mango, people start offering higher prices, 20, 30, or more. Result, the price of mangoes goes up, and poor people can't afford them anymore. Problem 2. Hurts people with fixed incomes. Some people earn fixed salaries, e.g. teachers, pensioners, office workers. When prices rise, inflation, their salaries don't increase fast enough. This makes their life harder. Example. A teacher earns $10,000 per month. Earlier, groceries cost $8,000 and they could save life $2,000. After inflation, groceries cost $12,000, but the teacher's salary is still $10,000. The teacher is now in trouble because they can't afford basic needs. On the other hand, rich businessmen and shopkeepers can increase the prices of their products and make more money. This creates inequality. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Problem 3. Unhealthy investments. Inflation makes businesses focus on quick profits rather than useful industries. Companies start investing in things that make them rich quickly, like luxury goods. cars, jewelry, but they ignore important industries like farming, healthcare, or education, which are needed for long-term growth. Example, a businessman decides to build a mall because it makes more profit, but no one invests in building affordable housing for the poor. This creates an imbalance in the economy. Problem 4. Danger of hyperinflation. If a government keeps printing too much money, inflation can go out of control. This is called hyperinflation. Example, in Zimbabwe 2008, the government printed so much money that prices rose unbelievably fast. A loaf of bread cost billions of Zimbabwe dollars. People's money became almost worthless, and they struggled to buy even basic things. Why do poorer countries suffer more? Poor countries already have 1. Less money to begin with. 2. Dependence on other countries for important things like oil or machinery imports. When inflation happens, their currency loses value, making imports very expensive. They don't have enough resources, like strong industries or big banks, to handle inflation. Real-life example, India. After independence, India used deficit financing to build industries and infrastructure. But this caused high inflation. Prices of food, clothes, and daily items went up. Poor people, especially farmers and workers, suffered a lot because their incomes didn't increase. To fix this, the government had to control prices artificially, give subsidies to help the poor. Key takeaways. 1. Inflation is the biggest problem of deficit financing. It makes life harder for poor and middle-class people. It increases the gap between the rich and poor. 3. It diverts money to important industries, like luxury goods, instead of useful ones, like farming or healthcare. 4. If not controlled, it can cause hyperinflation, where money loses all its value. 5. Poor countries are hit harder because they depend on imports and don't have strong financial systems. If anything feels unclear, let me know, and we'll simplify it.
Let's break this topic into very simple ideas step by step. What is deficit financing? 1. Deficit financing happens when a government spends more money than it has. To cover the extra cost, the government borrows money or prints more money. Example, imagine a family spends on 1,000 but earns only 800. The extra 200 is their deficit. 2. When the government prints more money, it can lead to inflation. Prices of goods and services go up. What is inflation? 1. Inflation means the prices of things like food, clothes, and fuel increase over time. Example, if bread costs 20 today but 30 next year, that's inflation. 2. Inflation makes money less valuable because you need more money to buy the same thing. Example, with Rs 100, you could buy 5 loaves of bread last year, but only 3 loaves this year. How does deficit financing cause inflation? 1. When the government prints too much money, there is more money in the economy, but the supply of goods like food, clothes, etc. doesn't increase at the same pace. 2. This imbalance causes prices to go up. Who benefits from inflation? 1. Business people and producers. Business people sell products at higher prices so they make more profit. Example, if a shopkeeper buys an item for 50 and sells it for 100 instead of 80, they earn more. 2. Borrowers. If you borrowed money earlier, inflation makes it easier to pay back because the value of money has gone down. Who suffers during inflation? 1. Fixed income earners. People like teachers, pensioners, and clerks who earn a fixed salary suffer. Example, if someone earns 10,000 a month but prices double, their income stays the same but they can buy less with that money. 2. This increases the gap between the rich and poor. Rich people can take advantage of inflation, while poor people and workers struggle more. How does inflation affect investments? 1. During inflation, investors are motivated by higher profits. They prefer to put their money in businesses that give quick profits, like luxury goods or real estate. 2. But these industries may not help the country grow in the long term. Example, building luxury apartments gives profits, but building affordable homes helps more people. 3. This leads to a distorted investment pattern. Money goes into areas that give fast profits, not into industries like education, healthcare, or infrastructure that are crucial for development. Deficit financing and employment. 1. The government might use deficit financing to create jobs, but it doesn't always work. 2. In backward countries, countries with less development, even if there's enough money, they may not have enough raw materials or machines to create jobs. Example, if a country wants to build factories but doesn't have steel or tools, it cannot create jobs even if it has money. 3. As a result, employment opportunities may not increase much. Key points to remember. 1. Deficit financing leads to inflation. 2. Inflation benefits business people but hurts fixed income workers. 3. It creates a gap between the rich and poor. 4. It can lead to bad investments that focus on quick profit, not long-term growth. 5. In less developed countries, even with money, job creation is often limited due to a lack of resources. Example to simplify everything. Imagine a small village. The village chief, government, spends more than they earn. To cover the extra cost, they print more money. 1. Now, shopkeepers, business people, increase the prices of goods because everyone has more money. Shopkeepers make more profits. 2. But a school teacher, fixed income earner, gets the same salary and struggles to buy goods. The teacher suffers because their money is now worth less. 3. Rich farmers in the village start investing in fancy items like luxury carts instead of tools that help everyone grow crops. This doesn't help the village improve in the long term. 4. The chief wants to create jobs by building a road, but there's no wood or stone available in the village. So the plan fails and the unemployed people remain jobless. Let me know if you want more examples or details. Let's break it down further, step by step, using even simpler words and examples. What is fiscal policy? 1. Fiscal policy is how the government manages money to run the country. It's like a family budget. You earn money, taxes, and spend it on things you need, roads, schools, hospitals. 2. The government collects money through taxes and spends it on things like building roads, running schools, paying salaries to government employees. 3. The purpose of fiscal policy is to help the country grow, reduce poverty and unemployment, control inflation when prices rise too much. 2 types of fiscal policy. 1. Expansionary fiscal policy. The government spends more money or reduces taxes. It's used when the economy is not doing well, like during a recession when many people lose jobs. Example, imagine a village where people have no jobs. The government can build a new school in the village, hire workers to construct the school. This creates jobs and puts money in people's hands so they can buy things like food and clothes. Contractionary fiscal policy. The government spends less money or increases taxes. It's used when inflation, price rise, is too high. Imagine everyone in a city is earning a lot and prices of basic things like food are going up very fast. The government might cut spending on unnecessary projects, increase taxes so people spend less money. This slows down price increases. Fiscal policy versus monetary policy. 1. Fiscal policy, controlled by the government, focuses on taxes and spending. 2. Monetary policy, controlled by the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, focuses on money supply and interest rates. 3. Both work together to keep the economy stable. If the government spends more money, the RBI ensures there's enough cash in the system. If inflation is high, both can take steps to cool the economy. What happened in 1991? Let's simplify this with a story. 1. In 1991, India faced a money crisis. It was like having no money to buy groceries for the house. Country couldn't pay for imports. The country had very little foreign currency, dollars, pounds, etc. 2. To fix this, the government made big changes, opened the economy, allowed foreign companies to come to India and invest. Example, companies like Pepsi and Coca-Cola started selling their products in India, removed quotas and licenses. Earlier, businesses needed permission from the government to produce goods. This rule was removed from most industries, making it easier to do business. protected important industries. Some industries, like atomic energy, were still controlled by the government for safety and security. 3. Fiscal policy was adjusted to support these changes. Taxes were changed to encourage businesses to grow. Government spent more money to improve infrastructure, like roads and ports. Why is fiscal policy important? 1. Helps during economic slowdowns. If people lose jobs, the government can spend more money to create jobs. Example, building new highways to give jobs to construction workers. 2. Controls inflation. If prices rise too much, the government can increase taxes or spend less money. 3. Supports development. Money collected from taxes is used for public goods like schools, hospitals, and water supply. Simple analogy to understand fiscal policy. Imagine a family running their household. 1. The family earns money, like the government collects taxes. 2. They spend money on needs, school fees, and medical bills. If a family member loses their job, the family might spend more on groceries and education to support them, like expansionary policy. If everything in the market becomes very expensive, they might save more money and cut down on unnecessary contractionary policy. Real-life examples of fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy. During COVID-19, many countries spent a lot of money to help unemployed people and small businesses survive. India gave free food grains to the poor and reduced taxes on certain items. Contractionary fiscal policy. If the government sees that people are spending too much and prices are rising, it can reduce spending on projects and increase taxes to slow down the economy. Key points to remember. 1. Fiscal policy is about taxes and government spending. 2. It has 2 types. Expansionary policy for growth during tough times. Contractionary policy to control inflation. 3. Fiscal policy works with monetary policy to balance the economy. Let me know if you need more examples or details. All right, let's learn about fiscal policy in the simplest, easiest way possible. I'll explain step by step, word by word, like teaching a young child. What is fiscal policy? 1. Fiscal policy means how the government decides to spend money and collect taxes. 2. It's like a big plan that the government uses to control the country's economy. Think of it as a teacher deciding how to spend money in a classroom. If the teacher spends money on books and games, students learn better and feel happier. Effects of fiscal policy. 1. When the government spends more money. Imagine the government is like a parent giving money to kids to buy toys or snacks. When the government spends more money, people have more money in their hands. This makes them buy more things like food, clothes, or cars. Businesses, shops, factories make more money because people are buying their stuff. To make more stuff, businesses hire more people, so more people get jobs. More jobs mean families earn more money and the whole country becomes richer. An example, during COVID-19, many people lost their jobs. The government gave money to people as help. This made people spend money on food, rent, or medicines. That spending helped businesses survive and save the economy from collapsing. 2. When the government spends less money. Now imagine the government is like a parent who suddenly stops giving kids pocket money. Kids can't buy toys or snacks anymore. The shops selling toys or snacks make less money. If businesses make less money, they can't pay all their workers. So some people lose their jobs. Less spending means the country's economy slows down. Example, if the government doesn't repair roads, builders and workers don't get jobs. People drive on bad roads and transport gets slower, hurting businesses. This slows the growth of the economy. Why does the government spend more or less? 1. During tough times like recessions, when many people don't have jobs, the government spends more money to help people and businesses. This extra spending boosts the economy. It's like pouring water on a dry plant to make it grow again. 2. During good times, when the economy is doing well, the government might spend less or collect more taxes. This prevents the economy from overheating, like turning off a fan when it's not too hot. What is aggregate demand? This is a fancy term for the total amount of money people spend in the economy. When more people buy things, aggregate demand goes up. When fewer people buy things, aggregate demand goes down. Keynesian economics. A famous economist, John Maynard Keynes, said, the government should spend more money during bad times to save the economy. This is because people and businesses stop spending during bad times. The government's spending can replace that missing money and restart growth. And another simple example. 1. Imagine a town where everyone works in a bakery. 2. Suddenly people stop buying bread because they lost jobs. 3. The bakery earns less and fires workers. 4. Now, even fewer people have money to buy bread. The problem grows bigger. 5. The government steps in and gives money to people. 6. People start buying bread again. 7. The bakery earns money, hires workers back, and the economy recovers. When fiscal policy works well, spending more in bad times, it creates jobs and helps people buy what they need. Spending less, in good times, it keeps inflation when prices rise too fast under control. Fiscal policy is how the government spends money and collects taxes. 2. Spending more money equals more jobs, more growth. 3. Spending less money, slower growth, fewer jobs. 4. During bad times, spending more can save the economy. Keynesian idea. Let me know if you want more examples or any part repeated. Alright, let's break this down, step by step, word by word, line by line, in the simplest way possible. Imagine I'm teaching a child with no knowledge at all. Let's go, what are taxes? 1. Taxes are the money people pay to the government. 2. Think of it like this. When you buy candy for $1, the shopkeeper might ask for $1.10. That extra 10 goes to the government as tax. 3. The government uses taxes to pay for things like schools, hospitals and roads. How do taxes affect people? 1. When you pay taxes, you have less money left to spend on things you like. Example, if you earn $100 and pay $20 as tax, you only have $80 left to spend or save. 2. This means that when taxes are high, people spend less because they have less money in their pockets. What happens during a recession? 1. Recession is a time when many people lose jobs and businesses make less money. Example, imagine a town where factories stop working and people stop buying things. The economy slows down. 2. To help, the government lowers taxes. If you pay less tax, you have more money to spend or save. With more money, you can buy things like clothes, food, or even a new phone. 3. When many people buy things, shops and businesses earn money. Businesses then hire workers and the economy starts growing again. What happens during a boom? 1. Boom is a time when the economy is doing really well. People have lots of money and they're spending a lot. Prices of things like food, houses or cars might go up too fast. This is called inflation. 2. To slow things down, the government increases taxes. Higher taxes mean people have less money to spend. If people buy less, prices stop rising so fast and inflation comes under control. How does the government use taxes to control the economy? The government adjusts taxes depending on the situation. 1. In bad times, recession, taxes go down, people have more money to spend, businesses grow and jobs are created. 2. In good times, boom, taxes go up, people have less money to spend. This controls inflation when prices rise too fast. Examples to understand better. Recession example. 1. Imagine a farmer growing apples. 2. People in the town lose their jobs so they don't have money to buy apples. 3. The farmer can't sell apples and earns no money. 4. The government lowers taxes so people have more money. 5. People buy apples again, the farmer earns money and the economy improves. Boom example. 1. Imagine a city where everyone is buying houses. 2. House prices start rising very quickly because demand is so high. 3. The government increases taxes so people have less extra money. 4. Fewer people buy houses and prices stop rising so fast. Why is this important? The government uses taxes like a volume knob to control the economy. During bad times, they turn the knob down, lower taxes. During good times, they turn the knob up, higher taxes. Summary. 1. Taxes are money paid to the government. 2. High taxes equals less money in people's hands equals less spending. 3. Low taxes, more money in people's hands equals more spending. 4. In a recession, lower taxes help people spend more and boost the economy. 5. In a boom, higher taxes slow spending and control inflation. Let me know if you want more examples or explanations. Alright, let's dive deeper and explain everything in even simpler terms, step by step. Imagine I'm talking to a curious child who knows nothing about the topic. We'll go slowly with lots of examples to make it crystal clear. What is fiscal policy? Quick review. 1. Fiscal policy is how the government decides how much money to spend on things like schools, roads, hospitals, how much money to collect as taxes, money people and businesses pay to the government. 2. Fiscal policy is like a tool to fix the economy. If the economy is weak, the government spends more or reduces taxes to help people. If the economy is overheating, prices rising too fast, they spend less or raise taxes. Problems with fiscal policy. Fiscal policy isn't perfect. Let's talk about the main problems one by one in detail with examples. 1. Time lags. What does time lag mean? It means there's a delay between the government's decision and when it actually helps the economy. Why does this happen? 1. The government first has to decide what to do. This can take weeks or months. 2. After deciding, they need to approve the plan. 3. Then, they have to spend the money, and it takes time for the money to make a difference in the economy. Imagine this. You fall and hurt your knee, you decide to go to the doctor, but the doctor is busy, so you wait a week for an appointment. Even after getting medicine, it takes a few days to heal. By the time your knee feels better, you've already missed your big soccer game. Example in the economy. Imagine a factory closes and many workers lose their jobs. The government decides to build a new road to create jobs for the workers, but it takes months to plan, approve and build the road. By then, the workers might have already found other jobs or moved away. Why is this a problem? By the time the government's help arrives, the economy might have already changed and the policy might not be useful anymore. 2. Crowding out. What does crowding out mean? When the government borrows a lot of money, there's less money left for everyone else, like businesses and people, to borrow. Why does this happen? There's only so much money available in the economy. If the government takes a big chunk of it by borrowing, there's less money left for others. Imagine this. There are 10 cookies in a jar. You and your friend want to eat the cookies. But then your teacher, government, takes 7 cookies for herself. Now only 3 cookies are left, so you and your friend have to share fewer cookies. Example in the economy. A business wants to borrow money from a bank to buy new machines. But the government is also borrowing money from the same bank to build a bridge. Since the government borrows a lot, the business might not get enough money for its machines. Without machines, the business can't grow or hire more workers. Why is this a problem? It slows down private businesses, which are important for the economy's growth.
3.
High borrowing costs. What does this mean? When the government borrows too much money, it can get very expensive to pay it back later. Why does this happen? 1. The government borrows money by selling bonds, like IOUs, where they promise to pay back with interest. 2. If people think the government is borrowing too much, they get worried it won't pay them back. 3. To make up for the risk, people ask for higher interest rates, extra money for lending. Imagine this. You lend money to your friend that they promise to pay it back in a week. But if your friend keeps borrowing from lots of people, you might worry they won't return your money on time. So next time you ask for extra candy, interest, to lend them money. Example in the economy. If the government borrows a lot, it has to pay higher interest on its loans. This means it spends more money on paying back debt instead of building schools, hospitals, or roads. Why is this a problem? The government has less money to spend on important things for the people. Other problems with fiscal policy. 1. Political issues. Sometimes politicians make decisions that are popular, not what's best for the economy. Example, before an election, they might cut taxes to make people happy, even if it harms the economy later. 2. Inflation risk. If the government spends too much money, prices might rise too fast. Inflation. Example, if everyone has extra money to buy bread, but there's not enough bread, the price of bread will go up. A summary. 1. Fiscal policy is like a tool the government uses to fix the economy. 2. But it has problems. Time lags. Help takes too long to arrive. Crowding out. Government borrowing leaves less money for businesses. High borrowing costs. Borrowing too much makes debt expensive to repay. Political and inflation risks can also create problems. A simple example of all problems. 1. Imagine you're the captain of a sinking ship, the economy. 2. You call for help. Fiscal policy. But time lag. The rescue boat takes too long to arrive. Crowding out. The rescue team uses all the life jackets, leaving none for the passengers. High borrowing costs. The rescue boat costs a lot and you can't afford to fix your ship later. 3. By the time help arrives, the ship has already sunk or the problems have changed. Let me know if you'd like more examples or even simpler explanations. Fiscal stimulus, a simple explanation. Let's take it step by step in the easiest way possible with examples so you'll understand perfectly. What is a fiscal stimulus? 1. Fiscal means anything related to the government's money, how it spends and collects taxes. 2. Stimulus means giving a push or boost to something. So fiscal stimulus means the government does something to give a big boost to the economy. This happens when the economy is slow, not growing fast enough. The government wants to help people make more money, buy more things, and create jobs. How does the government do it? The government has 2 main ways to boost the economy with fiscal stimulus. 1. Spending more money. The government starts spending lots of money on projects like building roads, schools, and hospitals. This creates jobs for workers, construction workers, engineers, etc. When people get jobs, they earn money and they can spend it on food, clothes, and other things. This extra spending helps businesses grow too. 2. Reducing taxes. The government lowers taxes so people and businesses can keep more of their money. When people have more money, they can spend or save it. Businesses can use the extra money to grow and hire more workers. Imagine this example. Think of the economy as a car. When the car is moving too slowly, the economy is not growing, the government presses the accelerator to make it go faster. This is the stimulus. Example of spending more. Imagine you're in a small town. The government decides to build a big bridge nearby. Workers get jobs to build the bridge. These workers get paid and start spending money at local shops and restaurants. The shopkeepers and restaurant owners also earn more and can hire more workers. Everyone's income increases and the town becomes busier and richer. Example of reducing taxes. Imagine you get to keep more of your paycheck because the government lowers taxes. Now you have extra money to buy a new bicycle or take your family to the movies. The bicycle shop and movie theatre earn more money and can hire more workers. This spending creates a ripple effect that boosts the economy. What about monetary stimulus? Now, fiscal stimulus is not the only way to boost the economy. The central bank, like RBI in India or the Federal Reserve in the US, can also take action. This is called monetary stimulus. The central bank, 1. Increases the money supply, makes more money available in the system. 2. Reduces interest rates, makes borrowing money cheaper. Example of monetary stimulus. Imagine the bank reduces interest rates. You can now take a loan to buy a car at a lower cost. More people start buying cars and car companies sell more vehicles. The car companies grow and hire more workers. This also helps boost the economy. Why is fiscal stimulus important? When the economy is in trouble, like during a recession or after a disaster, fiscal stimulus can quickly help. 1. Create jobs. 2. Put money in people's hands. 3. Encourage businesses to grow. 4. Prevent the economy from getting worse. Key differences between fiscal and monetary stimulus. Fiscal stimulus, monetary stimulus, done by the government, done by the central bank. involves spending or taxes, involves money supply or interest rates. Example, building a bridge. Example, reducing loan interest rates. When does the government use fiscal stimulus? 1, during a recession when the economy is shrinking. 2, when unemployment is high and people need jobs. 3, when businesses are not growing and the economy needs a boost. Summary. 1, fiscal stimulus equals government's boost to the economy. Spend more money, create jobs, help businesses. Lower taxes, put more money in people's hands. 2, goal, help the economy grow faster when it's too slow. Example, if the government builds a new road, it gives jobs to workers and boosts spending in the area. 4, fiscal stimulus works alongside monetary stimulus by the central bank, e.g. reducing interest rates. Would you like me to break anything down further or give more examples? Let me know. What is fiscal consolidation? Let's understand it in the simplest way possible. Step 1, what does fiscal mean? Fiscal means things related to the government's money. It's about how the government earns money, like through taxes, and how it spends money, like on schools, roads, or salaries. Step 2, what is consolidation? Consolidation means organizing or making something strong and stable. Think of it like tidying up your messy room to make it clean and easy to use. Step 3, fiscal consolidation. Fiscal consolidation is when the government tries to fix its budget so it doesn't spend more money than it earns. The goal is to reduce the deficit. Deficit means the gap when the government spends more money than it collects. Why does the government need fiscal consolidation? 1, to avoid debt problems. If the government keeps borrowing money to cover its expenses, debt will increase. Over time, paying back loans and interest becomes very hard. 2, to save money for important things. If too much money goes toward paying loans, there won't be enough left for schools, hospitals, or building infrastructure. 3, to keep the economy stable. A government with too much debt might lose trust. People and businesses may stop investing in the country, which harms growth. How does the government do fiscal consolidation? The government can fix its budget in 2 ways. 1, earn more money, increase revenue. The government tries to collect more taxes. It makes sure everyone pays taxes honestly. Example, suppose 10 people in a neighborhood earn $50,000 each, but only 2 of them pay taxes. If all 10 pay taxes properly, the government collects more revenue without raising taxes. 2, spend less money, reduce expenditure. The government looks for ways to cut unnecessary spending. It tries to save money without hurting important areas like education or health. Example, if the government avoids wasting money on luxury offices and spends it on building hospitals, it saves money and benefits people. Why can't the government cut spending too much? The government spends money in 2 major areas. 1, revenue expenditure, daily running costs. This includes salaries for government employees, pensions and office expenses. It's hard to reduce this because these are essential daily costs. The only way to save here is by making things efficient and stopping leaks or corruption. Example, if money meant for a school teacher's salary is stolen, that's a leakage. Fixing this saves money. 2, capital expenditure. This is money spent on long-term investments like schools, hospitals and roads. Cutting this is risky because it slows down the country's progress. In fact, we need to increase spending on these areas, not reduce it. Example, experts say at least 6% of India's GDP should be spent on education, but we spend less than that. If we reduce spending further, education quality will suffer. India's fiscal consolidation strategy. Since India can't cut important spending too much, it focuses on 1, increasing revenue by improving tax collection like GST and stopping tax evasion. Example, GST ensures businesses pay taxes on every sale. This helps the government collect taxes more efficiently. 2, preventing wasteful spending, avoiding corruption or misuse of public funds, making government programs work more efficiently. Why fiscal consolidation is like managing a household budget. Imagine you're running a family. Your monthly income is 20,000, but your expenses are 25,000. The extra 5,000 comes from loans, borrowing money. If this continues, 1, your debt grows. 2, you'll have to pay more interest on loans. 3, eventually you might not have money for essentials like food or children's education. To fix this, you, 1, earn more, start a side business or take extra work. 2, spend less, cut back on unnecessary things like eating out, but still spend on food, school fees and health. That's exactly what the government does with fiscal consolidation. Benefits of fiscal consolidation. 1, reduces debt. The government doesn't borrow too much, which lowers debt. 2, stabilizes the economy. A balanced budget keeps the economy healthy and attracts investments. 3, saves money. Less borrowing means less interest to pay, so more money can go to schools, hospitals and roads. Summary: what is fiscal consolidation? It's the government's way of fixing its budget by earning more and spending wisely. 2, why is it important? To reduce debt, save money and keep the economy stable. 3, how does it work? Earn more, increase revenue through better tax collection. Spend less, cut waste, but keep spending on important things like health and education. 4, why can't spending be cut too much? Because areas like education and health already need more money, not less. Let me know if you'd like more examples or clarification.